The opposite way, you'll notice that it doesn't make sense as it doesn't follow the shape the body is viewed at. You'll notice as well that even though the hair could have flown upwards, it would have looked awkward and distracting. Moving on to the human, male character. Keeping in mind that he's seen from a distance, we don't have to draw him with as much detail as that would just overcrowd the design, and once zoomed out, it'll smudge the lines together. Before I begin, I make sure the brush size is smaller. I start with his hair first, mainly because I want to figure out where the wind is coming from and see if any hair strands will be covering his facial features. If they do, I won't have to erase lines afterwards. Keeping in mind this is a male character, I draw his facial features very sharply. Now come to close. We've got the cape that falls over the arm that holds the bow, and we want to make sure to draw the lines softly so it has a cloth aspect. We also want to draw movement in it, keeping in mind the direction of which the wind is coming from so it flows the right way. Since the waist belt is overlapping all the other clothing, we'll draw this first because then we can draw the rest of the clothing and its folds according to the belt's placement. We don't want the belt line and clothing lines to hug the body outline as close as possible because otherwise it'll end up appearing like a skin-tight suit. For the bow, I draw a rough outline on a separate layer so that I can then hold down Shift and the letter T on my keyboard to adjust the perspective element alone. When you hold down Ctrl on your keyboard and select a corner of the transform selection, it allows you to move the element out of proportion and into the perspective you want manually with each corner rather than the entire element. Looking at it, I find that the way the character is holding the bow looks incorrect, and even if it is anatomically correct, it looks awkward. Here's why I saved the poser file. When I run into a pose issue, I can go back into the poser file and adjust the model into a more appropriate pose to then sketch over afterwards. I tried two different ones where instead of holding the bow at the ready, he's reaching for an arrow instead, realizing he may be in danger but not entirely sure yet.